as we listen carefully to the gospel readings, we follow Jesus' life. We follow the things he does, the people he meets, the things he says. And today he does something really interesting. Today Jesus goes up onto the mountain. Now it's not just an introduction to the gospel scene. It's not just about setting the scene. But that one line at the start of our gospel reading tells us something really important. To go up the mountain in the time when the scriptures were written was a symbol, a sign of encountering God. So when people wanted to encounter the God, to be in the presence of God, they went up the mountain. So we think about Moses, for example. He goes up that mountain to talk with God, to receive the 10 Commandments, for example. And so if anybody lives at the top of Cwmbran, you go up the mountain, you're in the presence of the divine all the time. You lucky people. You go up the mountain to encounter God. And that's really important because Jesus begins this bit of his life where he calls his special friends, he calls his disciples to him from the mountain, from the place of that encounter with God. So what we're saying is that Jesus was having that really important time with his Father, that time of prayer, that time of dialogue with his Father. And then the second thing which is really interesting about the calling of Jesus' friends today, the calling of those disciples, was that Jesus called them to come to him. Jesus calls them. He doesn't go down to get them. He brings them to him. And there is something significant about that, because he brings those people, those ordinary men, those special people that he's called to do something special for him. He calls them up that mountain. In other words, he calls them to be in the presence of God before they did anything else, before they went out and about, before they preached, they spoke to people, before they casted out demons, before they go out in Jesus' name. They spend that time up the mountain. In other words, they spend that time themselves with God, having that relationship with the Lord. And it's something for us to reflect upon, isn't it? That we can so often, I was texting a friend this morning, I was saying, we can get stuck in that doing stuff. We can get stuck in that running around doing the stuff of life, forgetting that the very heartbeat of who we are, what we do, our special calling that God gives us, is to spend time with him. That everything flows from that relationship with God, from that precious moments, from that dialogue we have with the Lord. It's like we ourselves, Jesus is inviting us, ourselves, to go up the mountain, to spend time with the Lord. And that's why we come here. We spend the between 20 minutes and 30, depending how long I jabber on for. We spend that time with the Lord. We spend that time here. This is how we enter that dialogue with the Lord, how we go up the mountain to be with Jesus. And we receive Jesus in a really special way. We literally sit at his feet as we listen to what he says and as we receive him in Holy Communion.